We're going to finish up our little video series here with this TSC desktop printer by printing some thermal stencils. These are, again, material that we make at ID Integration that has a wax coating. On the shiny side, we burn that off with a direct thermal printer like this and leave a porous region that you can then flip upside down, squeegee through it, and make a mark on a surface. I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to start with just making a quick stencil here. So if I pull this over, this is Bartender. If you're doing just text with this system, you can use Notepad, Word, Excel, whatever you want. It's a little bit complicated to set up the page size with those programs, but you can do it, and you don't need any software at all. The drivers for the printer are free from SiegelScientific.com, and you can go forward. But if you want to do barcodes, if you want to do graphics, if you want to do very small font, you're going to use the TS4 material and a package kind of like this, Bartender, which can handle graphics and barcodes. You can also create user interface forms where you define prompts. What do you want to prompt the user to provide? This isn't a very sophisticated one. I just put it up here and it provides a cage code, a serial number, and a part number. That's all it does. You can use Bartender to actually pull in from a database, any database, SAP, SQL, a text file, Oracle, it doesn't matter. It can support all of those different types of databases. I'm not trying to do a big Bartender review here, but you can see there's lots of different options here. You can scroll through the whole list. I mean, there's virtually, I can't think of anything that you can't connect to. So here's our design. We have some fonts that is of various size. Some are serif fonts, some are non-serif font. I have a couple barcodes. I don't generally recommend using this ink silkscreen process with cell sizes smaller than, let's say, 13 mil. That's 0.013 inches. And when I say a cell, I'm talking about one individual little square inside like a data matrix code. That would be my recommendation for the smallest, most, to keep it readable with a barcode scanner. Keep it above that cell size. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and print a few stencils here. And boy, things are definitely slow today. I'll put in just a couple different serialized stencils. I'll send it down, move this over. Whoops, there's prompting me for my starting stuff. And I'll move this out of the way. And you'll notice again, you've got a lot of static on these things, so you got to be a little bit careful when you're doing batch prints. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off with a razor blade. I've got two stencils on here. I'll move this out of the way now. I did, by the way, change the darkness setting, the default darkness setting, to its maximum of 15. And I think that works very well with the ink stencil system. So if it was lower than that in previous videos, I apologize. We're going to make it a little bit darker. So again, I've got 4 of these. I just printed out a couple more that are the same thing. But we've got a side that is glossy and a side that is not. And we're going to use, I don't have any Enthone or Nasdar ink. I'm just going to use some fabric paint. This is for testing, for setting up your process, getting some practice before you actually start marking industrial parts. I'll put a little board here so we can, I'm just doing it on a piece like this. If I take a stencil, flip it upside down again, right, and I'm trying to figure out which side I'm going to go on here. Let's see if I can get that in the camera. There we go. And again, I would recommend, this is really pretty cheap stuff. You can get it pretty much anywhere at any hobby shop. And it's really easy to develop your skill set and figure out what kind of tool you would prefer to use for your application. Some people like a really thick, stiff squeegee, and I don't, but many people do. So when you're doing it, just hold the back end of it down. Some people tape it. I don't really see a need to do so, but you can. And just pull the ink along. And when you're ready to peel it up, there's your mark. So I included like a little world map here. It's a monochrome image. I'll try to pull this a little bit closer so you can see. Hopefully that comes up okay. And I'm trying to give some sense of how small of a font. This is a 6-point font here, non-serif font, and then there's 6, 8, and 10-point font here for the serif font. The detail on the globe is actually pretty good, and the barcodes are definitely readable. Right? So that's what we have for the process. I hope it works for you. It's quick, very inexpensive by industrial tooling standards, and I think it is it's a nice addition to doing some marking, direct part marking, without the need and expense of like chemical etching. If you can get away with this, sometimes for added durability, people will use a clear polyurethane overcoat. It's really common. And we use this kind of marking method when you can't have a label, a sticker, something that can come off. Rotating equipment like drive shafts for helicopters, that's a common use for this. But I've also seen this used as an ink stencil in the bottom of an oil pan. So it's exposed to super high temp. Can't do markings on the outside, but they do a marking on the inside of the crankcase so as to assist maintenance with identifying the part when it comes in for repair. All right, I hope that is helpful, and you can always go out to id-integration.net to see more support materials and videos on this topic.